Bonjour! It's time for some more French. Yesterday we learned the endings of ER verbs. We just learned the singular ones, if you remember. So we're going to go over them first. And then we're going to add the plural pronouns. So instead of just talking about one person at each time, we can talk about more than one person each time, which makes it even more exciting and even more fun. So here we go. Let's just go over simply over the endings. And remember, you can look in your notes while we're doing these exercises. There's nothing wrong with that. The only time you can't use your notes is in a quiz or a test, but this is not a test. If you don't have your notebook, I would say pause your video right now, go get your notebook and a pen or a pencil, and come back and then proceed. You might want to look up where the endings are in your notes from yesterday. So what is the ending when we use a verb with je? Oops, I told you pretty fast, didn't I? E, right, E. How about tu? What do we put on the end? Excellent. We put es, right? We put es. How about il for one guy? Right, an e. And al and il are always the same. So what is al going to take? An e, exactly. Great. So now we know how to say a single person is doing something. And as I said before, we haven't learned the verb endings to say that a group of people is doing something. So that's what our project is for today. So we're going to learn the ER endings for our plural pronouns. The plural pronouns are nous, which is we, vous, which is you, either plural or formal. So you use vous when you're talking to more than one person or when you're talking to someone that you don't know and is in a formal position. For example, if you met the President of the United States, you would call him vous. Right? If you had a boss that you didn't really know very well, you would call him vous or her. Il is they, if it's guys or guys and girls. Elle with an S is they, if it's just girls. So you might need to review that a little bit and review that a little bit. All right, so I'd like you to take notes and write down the endings as we go. So there'll be plenty of time, and remember, you can always pause the video if you need to write things down. So our first ending we're going to write down is the nous ending. So I want you to write nous and an arrow, just like you see there, and then O-N-S. That is our ending. Nous, O-N-S. Great. Let's look at an example. Nous dansons. We are dancing, right? We're a bunch of people. We're dancing. Don't we look happy? All right. Nous dansons. Say it after me. Nous dansons. Nous dansons. Excellent. Now copy this one down. Vous. On the end of a verb with vous, we put easy. It's easy. Get it? I'm so funny. Excellent. Okay. Here's a sample. Vous chantez. You are singing. Say it after me. Vous chantez. Vous chantez. Excellent. Il, they, if it's either guys or guys and girls. So in our picture here, we have two girls and a guy. So it's il, arrow, right? We put the E-N-T on the end of a verb. Il, E-N-T. We're going to talk about how to pronounce that in just a second, after you've written it down. This is a funny one because E-N-T is silent. Say it after me. It's il parle. Il parle. Right? So the il, you don't pronounce the S, and the parle, you don't pronounce the E-N-T, and you could say, Madame, you're pronouncing almost fewer letters than you're not pronouncing, and it's true. But that's just the way French is. Il parle. Remember, there are a bunch of guys, so it's il parle. Elle, this is just girls. You only use elle when it's just females. And on the end of the verb goes E-N-T, just like with il. Il and elle are always the same forms in verb forms. So let's say a sample of this one would be elle joue. Elle joue. Right? They're playing at being princesses, I guess. Elle joue. Fantastic. Let's look at a whole verb conjugation. I want you to say them after me. Je danse. Tu danses. Il danse. Elle danse. Nous dansons. Vous dansez. Il danse. Elle danse. Let's come up with the endings for these sentences. Il dîne. What goes on the end of that? Think about it for a second and find it in your notes. You can say it out loud or you can write it, either one. Il dîne. Il dîne. How about we are listening? Nous écoutons. Nous écoutons. That ONS is not pronounced ONS in English. It's only a different way of pronouncing it. It's in French, right? Nous écoutons. Madame et Monsieur Smith, they are eating. They're also dining out. You can choose either one you want. Mange. So when I put, right, mange, E-N-T. Monsieur et Madame Smith mange. Est-ce que vous, now you need to come up with the verb and the ending for these. Est-ce que vous, the verb's going to be jouer, right, for to play, and it's going to have an EZ because it's vous. So this would be if you met somebody you didn't know, if she was maybe a famous soccer player. Est-ce que vous jouez au football? Est-ce que vous jouez au football? Nous, we like dogs. Nous, the word for like is aimer, but we need to change it to nous aimons les chiens. Nous aimons les chiens. Vous, you dance well. Vous, bien. Vous, it's going to be danser is the verb, right? So figure out what your ending is going to be. Vous dansez bien. Vous dansez bien. Les élèves, they're working in class. Travailler is to work, remember? So what are you going to put on the end? Les élèves travaillent en classe. Les élèves travaillent en classe. Est-ce que nous blank pour l'examen? So are we studying for the test? Est-ce que nous étudier is to study, so it's going to turn into étudiants. Est-ce que nous étudions pour l'examen? Nous, we're watching a documentary film. Nous regarder is to watch. Now we need to take that ER off, and what ending are we going to put on it? Nous regardons un film documentaire. Nous regardons un film documentaire. Les enfants, the children are eating cereal, des céréales. Les enfants, manger is to eat, so we're going to take off the ER and put on an ending. What are we going to end up with? Les enfants mangent des céréales. Les enfants mangent des céréales. Luc et sa mère, they're studying at the library. Luc et sa mère, blank, à la bibliothèque. Bibliothèque is a library. If you speak Spanish, it should look familiar. So we know étudier is to study. Now we need to ask ourselves, what do we put on the end of étudie to make it match Luc et sa mère? Étudie with an E-N-T on the end that is silent. Luc et sa mère étudient à la bibliothèque. Les filles, the girls are watching, or the girls are looking at a boy. It's kind of stalkerish here, isn't it? Les filles, blank, un garçon. Remember, to look at or to watch is regarder. So ask yourself, when I take the ER off and I put an ending on, what do I end up with? Les filles regardent un garçon. Les filles regardent un garçon. Excellent. So there's just one last little thing I want to make sure we understand about conjugations and the verbs. So it says here in this very handy little box, English has several verb forms for expressing actions in the present. In French, there is only one form. Compare. Je joue au tennis. I play tennis. I do play tennis. I am playing tennis. So notice that. Je joue au tennis in one form in French is three forms in English, right? So anytime you want to say any one of those three, all you have to say in French is je joue au tennis. So it's a little easier for us than it is for them. They would have to figure out which one to use. We know there's only one form. Same thing in the negative. Je ne joue pas au tennis. I'm not playing tennis. One form. In English, we have two forms. I do not play tennis. I am not playing tennis. Right? So remember that. We have a lot more forms in English than you do in French. So translation, we have to keep that in mind. All right, let's take a look at the next picture. When you're looking at it, I want you to pause it. And for each picture of the girl, each time you see the girl, have a sentence that you where where you say what she's doing. It says you may write or speak. I would like you to write. I'd like you to write this in your notebook. If she's crossed out, you're going to say she's not doing that activity. So what I just said is, it says you may write or speak. I would prefer that you wrote it. You're going to need to read this into a flip grid. You can't read it if you don't have it written down. So write down a sentence for each time you see her, what she is or is not doing. For example, if I wanted to look at her over here in the upper left-hand corner, she is playing soccer. She's not working, right? The girl with the vacuum cleaner, she's working. Elle travaille. She's not watching TV. Elle ne regarde pas la télé, right? So each one of these people is doing something and not doing something. You may repeat. It happens sometimes. Some are on samedi, some are on dimanche. Don't worry too much about that. Let's just worry about saying what the girl's doing. So we're going to pause our video so that we have time to write this out and have a nice little paragraph about what this girl's doing that we can read into our flip grid. Okay, so you're finished writing out your whole paragraph. Good work, bon travail. You're going to move on to your independent work, and then after that, you're going to do a flip grid. And in the flip grid, you'll be reading what you just wrote about the girls' activities, your little paragraph that you did. So I'm going to say au revoir, bonne journée, and I will see you à bientôt soon.